How's everybody doing today? Today I'm going to be starting this video off with some off-roading. So for today's video, I just wanted to talk about the cost to lift a Silverado. Now me personally, I have a 2013 Chevrolet Silverado with a suspension lift and a body lift. When it comes to lifts and raising the height of your vehicle, there's 3 different classifications that you need to know. Now the first thing I want to talk about is leveling kits. Leveling kits have a max height of 2 to 2.5 inches. They usually do not touch the back of the vehicle at all because, you know, if you look in my Silverado here, there is a little bit of a rake look to the front. Well, it's a lot worse before I actually got my lift on. What the leveling kits do is they lift the front end of your vehicle about 2 to 2.5 inches, and that's about as much as you want to go before you start breaking things, because it's actually just a spacer. Leveling kits are the most popular because they're cheap and you can run bigger tires without having to spend the enormous amounts of money for a full-on suspension lift or a body lift. Really, the only negative of a leveling kit is that it decreases your down travel and it keeps your suspension components at an angle, which is actually bad for the vehicle. It makes your parts wear down faster. Secondly, I'd like to talk about suspension lifts. Suspension lifts are a lot more expensive. Now I have a mid suspension kit, which is anywhere between 3 to 4 inches. People say don't go with those because they're actually a maxed out leveling kit, but they're called suspension kits just to appeal to the people that want to run the bigger tires. And leveling kits, you know, everyone thinks a leveling kit is small because usually that's only 2 to 2.5. Well, I have a 3.5 inch rough country suspension lift, and it's not as good as, you know, the full on 6-inch lifts because they actually replace all the parts underneath needed, as opposed to my lift right here. If you can see, all my suspension components are at an angle because nothing else was really accounted for besides the differential. So if you were to run a suspension lift on your Silverado, I would recommend going with a 6-inch lift or higher. Now the last kit that I want to talk about is a body lift. A body lift raises the frame of your truck from the body, and it puts a spacer. Here's just a spacer between the bed here, but there's actually, the real spacers look like this. This is the actual thing holding the weight. This actually just keeps separation so it doesn't sag if you have heavy weight in your bed. But that's all body lifts do, is raise the frame off the truck. You may be wondering why people get body lifts. Well, it's because you're able to run bigger tires, and that's about it. The ground clearance doesn't change. Your frame and axles are in the exact same position, but it allows you to run the bigger tires, and that's what appeals to people. But other than that, it gives it a, you know, your frame is more exposed. It's honestly on your own opinion if you like the look of that or not. So a leveling kit will probably run you about 100 to 150 bucks depending on the brand that you get and the quality that you want. Now I would steer away from any kind of eBay lift kit because those are dangerous. You don't know the quality and where it was made. So you can install it yourself for free, but if you go to a shop, they're probably going to charge you around, you know, maybe 200 bucks. The body lift, you know, it's just raising the body off the frame and then installing just pucks in there. They charged me about $250 to get that lift on there. It's going to be extra if you wanted to get the rear bumper brackets. So if I were you, I would stay away from body lifts and leveling kits because, you know, as soon as you start lifting, you're going to just want to go higher. That's everybody, literally everyone I talk to that goes with a leveling kit or a body lift in the beginning, they eventually want to go with a full-on suspension lift anyway. So just save your money and go with a full lift. I made that mistake myself. I wish I went with a big kit here, but I didn't. So just save your money and go with at least a 6-inch lift, and you'll be a lot happier down the road because all those parts that are actually made really well are going to save your truck, opposed to putting on these kits that aren't as good. Now for my mid lift kit, which is only a 3.5-inch lift like I said before, they only charged me about $300 to $400 to install. There's no welding involved. It's really all bolt-on parts and pieces. So that's the only good side about the smaller lift kits, is that you can take them off without having to do any major modifications to your truck. For the full-on suspension lifts, 6 inches and up, you're going to be spending at least $1,000 for the kit. Now that is a cheap price because they can actually run you up, you know, a couple $1,000s if you're going with bigger brands like Skyjacker, BDS, Cognito, CTS. But other than that, if you go with just a cheap brand like, you know, Rough Country, you're going to be spending at least $1,000. And then for labor and stuff, I've called different shops around here, Pennsylvania, and they charge about $1,000 just to install it. So for those of you that want to level or lift your truck, brands that I would suggest for leveling would be Rough Country or Zone. You really don't need that special of a brand because they all do the same thing. It's usually just a strut spacer. Now, depending on your budget for suspension lifts, if you don't have that much money and you want to go with a lift, I'd recommend Zone. Rough Country, some of the lifts that they make aren't as good for your truck, like the Rough Country 3.5 and 7.5. So I would honestly just go with Zone because it's comparable prices with Rough Country and they're made by BDS, and that is like the best lift kit brand that you can buy. If you have the money, I would definitely go with BDS, but you're going to be spending a couple $1,000s for the kit itself. But if you have the money, yeah, go with the better kits like BDS, Skyjacker, CTS, Cognito, brands like that. Well, you can go with a Zone 3-inch body lift. Those are really good. And if you go through Rough Country, they actually get their parts from Performance Accessories, which is also a very good brand of body lift. Specifically on my truck, I have a Zone 1.5-inch body lift. I didn't want to go with too much of a body lift because, like I said before, I only have 3.5 inches of lift of suspension, so I didn't want to really show the frame. Now, it's all in your opinion, but for my opinion, I didn't want to expose the frame too much. If you talk to your local off-road shop, they'll definitely be able to recommend you some brands and a lot of good kits depending on your budget. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm probably going to finish the trail here. It actually gets pretty thick up there. I'll get that on video for you guys. And it's been a good time down here. It's pretty cool. I'm going to be upping the level of difficulty. This is just a minor trail that I haven't been on in a long time. I wanted to show it to you guys. In the description, I'm going to be putting the video to how much my Silverado build costs and all the different things that I put into it. So if you guys enjoy this video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. I appreciate it, guys. Take care and have a good one.